Hi everyone, thanks for joining me again for another OT Minute where we look at how to play with things that you probably already have around the house in ways that are also going to support your child's development. Today we have a classic, one of my favorites, Play-Doh. We're going to look at what can you do while you're playing with the Play-Doh that is also supporting your child's foundational skills of development in a way that's fun. And I don't know about you, I have a 2-year-old and her favorite thing to do with Play-Doh is to make food. So we're going to do that today, and we're going to look at, while we're making the food, how is this also therapeutic? So let's do it. Let's make pizza today. That's one that most kids like. So let's figure out, how do we make pizza with the Play-Doh? So first we got to get it open, pull it out. Let's see, so thinking of the steps of making Play-Doh, of making pizza, first thing would be to roll out the dough, right? Here's a great opportunity to be using both hands to roll out the dough on the table. You could even use any tools that you have, plastic pretend rolling pins, maybe even an empty water bottle could be used. Maybe a full water bottle might be better because then it would have some tension to it. An empty one might just get squished. Water bottle, anything that's round, anything that you can roll up along the top of the dough. So what are we doing when we're rolling? Why is rolling good? Rolling usually means that you're going to be using both hands, so that's called a bimanual skill, bimanual task. And that means both hands are having to work together. They're working in the middle of the body. We call the middle the midline, and that's important to think about. The midline matters because it helps us understand the two sides of our body. So if both hands have to work together in the middle, they have to coordinate together. We call that integration. They have to integrate together. So rolling both hands using pressure to push down to roll out that dough. Now we're talking about some strengthening of the hands, maybe even into the arms and into the shoulder. Anytime that your child is having to push, squeeze, pull, pinch, that's going to be helping to build up the strength in the hands. Why does that matter? Fine motor skills all across the board. That's going to support handwriting, that's going to support buttoning, zippers, eating, using utensils, so many things. So we want to make sure our kiddos have nice, strong hands. So here's what that would look like. All right, time to roll out that dough. So I can use both hands right here in the middle. Make it nice and long. I can use my tools. Again, I can press down. I'm pushing for some strengthening. I'm also using both hands at the same time. I have to work in different directions, all in this midline position, but in different directions away from my body. All this is supporting, strengthening, body awareness, bilateral integration. All right, so we have our pizza dough all rolled out. We're ready for the next step. Next step, I would say, is toppings. All right, so how can we make toppings therapeutic? I'm going to use some nice hot pink dough because that makes sense, or for a yellow pizza. Let's see, we could make some pepperoni. Pepperoni's great, nice and round and thin, right? So first step could be that we have to make some balls. Again, now we're using two hands again to roll that Play-Doh into a ball. Two hands in the middle, work in the midline, working that bimanual integration, bilateral integration. I've got the ball here. I can even make it a nice clean ball by using my fingertips. Now I have to work these small muscles of my hand to get my fingertips to come together. We always like that position. That's a pinch position or a pincer position. That's what we use to pick up small items, manage small buttons, zippers, hold the pencil. That's a really important developmental position that we want kiddos to work on. All right, I've got my ball here. I can use that pinch to now flatten my ball. Oh, it could also be an olive maybe, or a mushroom. Any old thing your kids can think of that they might want on their pizza, or that you could ask on your pizza. They can cook it for you. Again, here we are pinching. Now this pinch is a little bit different because I've got 3 fingers tucked into my palm and 2 fingers out. That's the pincer grasp, and that's where we are now using the two sides of our hands in different ways. So that's even more going into those fine motor skills. So we also need to be able to coordinate the two sides of our hand, not only two sides of our body, two sides of our hand. So We're working that pinch, we're squeezing. Each time we have to pull the dough apart and manipulate it. We're using all these nice small muscles of our hands to strengthen them up, get them nice and strong for all of our fine motor skills. Rolling and pinching. Another of my favorite tools to use while playing with Play-Doh is scissors and even fork and knife. This is an excellent time to introduce cutting to your kids, both either with scissors or knives, pretend knives, or maybe even real knife if you feel like they're ready for it. A regular butter knife, better to start with, because Play-Doh is a safer way to, and maybe less messy than food for the first learning trials of how to use them. So here's another time we can think of toppings. Let's say you want to ask your kid to chop up some onion for your pizza. Great time for them to figure out how to use that fork and knife. When your child is using the scissors, I would love for you to encourage them to work in that midline position. So now this is a bimanual task. However, each hand is having to do something different. So this is a higher level bimanual task. One hand has to hold the scissors. We want the thumb to be on top. Some kids may go this way as they're first learning. Just help them to rotate that hand over, thumb on top. The hand that's holding the Play-Doh also is in a thumb up position. And both hands are in the middle in front of their body. We don't want them moving around in any awkward position. We want to help them get a nice, smooth, comfortable position right in the middle to chop up that Play-Doh. My bell pepper's ready for the pizza. My pizza is ready to go. So the next step would be to slice it up and serve it. Here's another excellent opportunity to show them how to use that fork and knife. The best thing to do with the fork is to have them stabilize the pizza. So now one hand is still and steady, while the other hand is going to slice that pizza up. Again, a bimanual task, but now each hand is having to do something different at the same time in the middle of the body. Next step would be to serve the pizza, I suppose, and eat it. Now, how can that be therapeutic? Let's see. Let's figure out if we can find a way. I would say that we could have our child pick up each piece and have to put it on a plate across the table. So here we are, having to reach across our body, reach outside of what we call our base of support, where our stability and posture is, where we're seated. If we have to shift our weight, that requires a little bit more body coordination, a little bit more core strength. When we have to reach across to another plate, across the table, we're shifting weight, and we're also working across that midline. All of that helps with that body awareness, body integration, gross motor skills. It even is going to help develop those fine motor skills because you're strengthening and supporting the core, which is the foundation, the stability that supports fine motor skills. Who knew making pizza with Play-Doh could be so fun and therapeutic at the same time? I hope that you've enjoyed this activity and have found new ways to think of playing with Play-Doh in maybe a new lens, to think that it also can be therapeutic for your child. Not only fun, a good time to connect with your kid, but work on some of those foundational skills. Let me know how it goes if you give it a try.